Hello everyone. Today we're going to take a look at Hyper Backup, a great application that is provided by Synology for backing up all of the data on your Synology NAS. If you haven't already installed Hyper Backup, you can find it in the Package Center. Just open up Package Center and you can either look through all of the different applications that are available, or if you just come up here to search and type in even just Hyper, you'll see that it pops up. If it hasn't been installed on your system, this button will say install, similar to what it does here. We've already installed it and we're using it, which is why it says open. Once it's installed on your application, go to your main menu. You will see the Hyper Backup application. Just click on it and it will open. Now, in our case, we've been using it for a while, and because we believe that it is important to use the 3-2-1 backup process, we have three different types of backups. We have a local backup, which is done on a daily basis to a USB drive that is attached to our Synology NAS. We do a rsync backup. This is a Linux protocol that allows us to do a backup from our Synology NAS to a non-Synology NAS, which is actually located on a different floor in our building. And that way, if there were to be some sort of a catastrophe where we lost our primary NAS, we've got a backup available locally. And then we do a third backup, which is the remote backup. And again, using Hyper Backup, we do a backup to a identical DS218, which is off-site. It's about 50 miles away. We do a backup to that NAS, and that NAS does a nightly backup to our NAS, so we're kind of sharing resources, but we each have an off-site backup, and this is a great way to make sure that your data is fully protected. The process to do these backups is pretty much the same depending on which protocol you're going to use. There are some different settings, but we want to show you just a local backup that is done to a USB external drive that's attached to one of the USB ports on the back of our Synology DS218. You can see here that it says the target is offline, and that's because the USB drive that we use for these three backups, we have temporarily disconnected from our server, and we have connected another one for the purposes of this demonstration. So to get started, all you do is click on the plus sign. You're going to be asked whether you want to do a LUN backup or a data backup. We want to do a data backup, so if we select that, it'll bring you to a screen that shows you all of the different types of backups you can do with the Hyper Backup application. The local folder or USB is what we're going to talk about today. The remote NAS device is for the remote backup we do to the other Synology NAS. Here is the rsync backup that we do to the non-Synology NAS that we have here in our building. And then there are a variety of cloud services that you can use, Amazon Drive, S2, Dropbox, Google Drive. And the other one is the Synology C2 cloud backup that is also available. In our particular case, we're going to do a local USB backup, so we're going to select that and we're going to click Next. It's going to look at our local NAS and ask us where we want to put this backup. In our case, we want to put it on the USB share, which is the external hard drive. It's going to ask what directory we want to put it into. It already gives it a directory, which is the name of our NAS and _1. In our case, we want to call it something different. You might want to do that if you are using a single hard drive to do multiple types of backups. We're just going to call this one Demo Backup. We're going to leave it on the USB share, so we're going to click Next. Now it's going to ask you what you want to back up, and in normal circumstances, we would probably just do the entire volume. That's what we do for our other backups. In this case, what we are going to do is just one particular folder just for the purposes of this demonstration, we've got a folder here under our video share called Home Movies. So we're going to select that and click Next. If you are doing a full backup, you may want to back up some of the applications, mostly because if you have to do a restoration, some of these applications like Moments have very sophisticated databases that would need to be rebuilt. In our case, it took about 4 days once we loaded all of the photos onto the Synology NAS. So that is certainly something that you would want to back up. In our particular situation today, we're not going to do that, so we're just going to click Next. You then get the option to pick up or pick out how you want to do your backups. Do you want to get notifications when it's done? Do you want to compress the data, which is always a good idea, so you get the most use out of your backups? You can set a schedule. In our case, we do our backups daily, and because we're doing multiple backups, we do them at different times. Our server is pretty busy overnight since we've got backups going pretty much every hour, doing different things. You can check the integrity on a regular basis. If you wanted to do some client-side encryption, you can do that. Once you've got this all set up the way you want it, you would just click Next. And here's where you get to enable backup rotations. And what that means is if you click this box, you can see right now that we could do 256 backups, which would go back about 9 months. Under normal circumstances, we don't really need that much. We do about 30 backups, which goes back about a month. And what will happen is as the backups get to that total, the NAS will automatically start deleting the oldest ones to keep current for the 4-week schedule. Once you got everything set, you click Apply, and the backup wizard is going to go ahead and set up the backup for what you want to do. It's then going to ask you if you want to back up now. We're going to say no for just a moment, because what I want to show you is that we now have 2 local backups, one storage 1 and the other called storage 2. That could become confusing, especially if you're going to be using multiple hard drives for different backups. So it sometimes makes sense to change the name to something that is a little more understandable for you. In our case, we would go here to the task settings, and this is kind of a review of everything that you selected for the backup. As time goes on, if you add shares to your backups, you may want to go in and check that those shares are added. You can change your mind and either backup or not backup applications. We're going to go here just for a moment to settings, and this is where you give the backup task a name. And in this case, we are going to change the name to the demo backup, kind of to match the directory that it's going into. We can click OK, and now you can see that in our list we now have the local storage 1, which is our regular backup, and we have the demo backup, which is what we just created now. And we have a choice at this point that we can either wait until 3 a.m. tomorrow for the backup to start automatically. It does say that the target drive is online. But we're going to go ahead and do this backup now by clicking the button. It will start doing its thing. We're going to let this finish and come back in a moment and tell you a little more about it. This has been running now for just a couple of minutes, and as you can see, it is almost done. We've done almost 3 gigabytes of data. There's about 26 files in there. It's still got a little bit more to go. But when it finishes, what you're going to see is that this indicator finishes up and changes to successful. Assuming it's successful, we are also going to get a notification in our notification center. If it failed, this would be red and it would tell you that it failed. And you can see here that we did 3.22 gigabytes of data. The integrity check has not been performed yet, but that is scheduled for the future. If you go into the backup statistics, you can see how much data you have done in this particular backup that we did today. There's 3.22 gigabytes. As you do more backups and add more data to your NAS, this of course will increase. You can also set some alerts so that you know if you're going to be running out of space on whatever your backup medium is. So that's a quick look at Hyper Backup. It is a great program. We use it constantly to make sure that our servers are properly backed up and up to date. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and hit that bell so you'll be notified when there are new videos. And as always, thanks for watching.